On part 2 of a 2-part episode, we sit down with tweeter extraordinaire Richard Barrow.
So if you've wanted to get to know the man behind the tweets, you'll love this episode of the Bangkok Podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Bangkok Podcast. My name is Greg Jorgensen, a Canadian who came to Thailand in 2001 and is only now starting to realize the benefit of putting baby powder on your sweaty bits.
And I am Ed Knuth, an American who came to Thailand on a 1-year teaching contract 22 years ago, started trying to figure out the exact meaning of the Thai phrase kreng jai, and I still haven't, so I never left.
Ooh, nice.
We want to give a big thanks to all of our patrons who support the show. Patrons get every episode a day early, behind-the-scenes photos of our interviews, a heads-up to send questions to upcoming guests, and access to our Discord server to chat with me, Greg, and other listeners around the world. But best of all, patrons also get an unscripted, uncensored bonus episode every week where we riff on current events and Bangkok topics. On this week's bonus show, we chatted about a thread on Twitter by user Coconuts about how frustrated he and others are about the recent slide in the quality of service in Bangkok taxis, my rant about good kreng jai and bad kreng jai, and a story about a woman who lost 50,000 baht when a taxi driver made off with her very unique flower bouquet. To learn how to become a patron, click the support button at the top of our website.
Right. And as always, if you have a comment, a show idea, or just want to say hi, head to bangkokpodcast.com and click the little microphone button on the bottom right to leave us a voicemail we can play on the show. Hey guys, just a quick little insert here before the show. We have to apologize because you have just been pranked. You may have heard us in recent shows talk about how fascinated we are with some of the latest AI tools, and we've been playing around a little bit. So to come 100% clean, everything you've heard on this episode before I just said, hey guys, was 100% generated by AI. Now it's not 100% there yet, and regular listeners might have noticed something was a bit off. But still, it's pretty good. What do you think, Ed?
Damn, I think it's pretty good. I'd say it's about 85, 90% there. I mean, if this is where it is right now, in 6 months, it's going to be perfect.
Yeah, I did this. I signed up for a website. It cost me $5 a month. And all that stuff took me about 5 minutes to generate. So it's pretty.
So you upload a sample of our voices, and then you just type in text.
Yeah, exactly. You just type in what you want it to say, and then it does it. It's
dangerous, man. Dangerous. This is going to change the world.
It is, man. It's pretty cool stuff. And yeah, apologies everyone. We thought we'd do a little test here and see how good it sounded, and we can guarantee that everything you hear after this is 100% real humans.
Heck yeah.
Definitely Richard Barrow is not an AI, so he's a real dude.
That is true.
And
that is true.
Yeah. So AI cannot replace podcast hosts 100% yet.
Correctamundo. Because no AI would say correctamundo.
The Tarantino AI.
Right? That's right.
All right. Well, this episode is part 2 of our series with our pal, sometimes called a one-man TAT, one Mr. Richard Barrow. As we mentioned on part 1 of the show last week, these episodes have been 13 years in the making. Richard doesn't do a lot of interviews. In fact, this may be his first one ever. So we were super psyched that he agreed to sit down with us. And on this episode, we dive right into the nuances of using Twitter, his philosophy around doing social media, why he gets so much abuse and how he handles it. We also get into his newest endeavor, where he creates all types of itineraries for travel on Thailand's extensive, and we gotta say, fairly unappreciated rail network, which you can download for free at thaitrainguide.com. So it was a great discussion, and we really enjoyed talking to Richard. So here is part 2 of our chat with the Barrow.
The other characteristic you have, and you kind of mentioned it before about how you want to stay in the background, but to me, it's refreshing because to me, it's almost anti-social media or anti-Instagram, because so many Instagram people, it's clearly about them. You know, it's like their personality is in the forefront. So, I'm a vegetarian, so I follow these vegetarian influencers, but a lot of times it's like they see themselves as a star, and they're like a celebrity who talks about being a vegetarian. and so and their personality is forefront. But so do you think it's just the way you are? Do you think it's because we're a little bit older? But you keep your
because I started
you keep yourself.
before.
Yeah.
I started before the word influencer came out. Before Instagram. This is what I was saying before. My motivation is very different to the motivation of the younger generation.
Right.
My motivation was never about making as much money as I could or being famous or anything like that.
Right.
And when the first websites, it was like I was always pushing the students were helping doing the websites. I was always pushing them to be like, these are the webmasters, and then media came in and interviewed them. And I always stayed in the background, even though I was instrumental.
It's very refreshing to have a source that's just basically about the information. It's about the stuff. That's what it's about.
But the problem I get now is that people don't understand that, and they don't believe it, and they say like, this can't be true, or you must have some secret agenda
Right.
going there. And
like, what's
but
the
really,
hook?
it's the way I was brought up. My parents were in scouting, and which is a volunteer movement, and they're always doing volunteering work in the community, and it just kind of rubbed off on me that it was basically helping people and not expecting anything in return. My father got an MBE for his work for the community. So it's like, it's the way I was brought up. So I'm just carrying on here. I'm happy to help people without expecting anything in return.
And you enjoy doing
it. So money, I mean, obviously, I started a buy me a coffee thing recently, and if someone wants to buy a coffee, and that kind of helps, gives me a budget to traveling costs money,
Sure.
and research, time and money.
We get it. We have patrons for this website. It takes time to put
and
something
they
together.
don't realize that the servers, I mean, some of the websites are so big that I had to have quite an expensive server, and all the domain names cost money, and they don't realize, it costs money to do this job, So,
sure.
I mean, people talk about, you get a free hotel and you get free this or a free meal or something. It doesn't pay the bills.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, and it's like, I have to get to that hotel. It's going to cost me money, time and money to get to the hotel as well. And it's like, I literally turned down 98% of the requests to go to a hotel, or I would only go to a hotel and stay there for free if it's under my own conditions, that is up to me what I post. And
Sure.
and I'm not obliged to do anything if I don't want to. And most of the hotels that I go to, the people, they follow me and they know me and they know my style. And it's the same with this word influencer, which I hate. And I don't want to be called an influencer. And anyone that sends me an email that says, "Dear influencer," I immediately press delete, and it's gone.
Right.
Or if a hotel writes to me and says, "Can you send me the rates for visiting our hotel?" And I was like, "Oh, hotels actually pay influencers to visit the hotel. It's not just like staying there for free. They actually pay as well."
Sure.
I press delete straight away. So then there's an obligation on my part to actually post something,
Right,
and it has to be positive. Yeah. So I don't go to anything like that. It has to be, and also the other important thing is, when the influencers go to hotels, 99% of the time is all the pictures are nice pictures, Instagram-y pictures inside the hotel. Yeah. When I go to a hotel, 98% of the pictures are tourist destinations outside the hotel. I don't even go to the spa or the swimming pool or whatever.
Right.
I might take a picture of this and that if it looks nice, but if it doesn't look nice, I won't take a picture and post it.
Yeah.
So that's the deal. If I go and stay at your hotel, I'm only going to sleep there. All the day I'm going to be traveling.
Right.
I'm not a person that's like sitting by the pool. I get bored with that after 5 minutes.
Here's pictures of the topiary. Like, this is great. So let's get into your online presence and what it does, and let's start first about people projecting their biases or desires onto you. Do you or do you not work for MI6?
Well, people think I work for a lot of like they think I work for the government or immigration, or I mean, it's like I don't want to keep saying it's the way I was brought up, but I try to be polite and I always like to give people the benefit of the doubt. And when I see injustice or something, I'm just going to jump in and defend those people. But then it makes me look like I'm working for those people when I do that. But no, I mean, I've been very close to the line. I've been in trouble because the stuff I put out there, like with the immigration, last year 2 years ago during the COVID, had these big queues, lines at the immigration, and I was posting these pictures that made immigration look bad because there's like, this is very dangerous. There's COVID, and they've got hundreds of people there.
Yeah.
Why do they have to line up every day, kind of thing? And I actually got contact from immigration, and they were saying, look, we've actually sorted out this now. There's a proper line system, and they sent me pictures, and they said, can you post it? And I said, yeah, okay. I'm happy to show both sides of the story because and it's nice they're actually making an improvement.
Yeah.
So but I think that particular incident, it was translated into the Thai media about this all these foreigners having to queue up, and I think at that time, the immigration people were like angry with the immigration officials saying, "Well, how dare they do this?" But in reality, the immigration didn't want this situation. It was forced upon them because it was just as dangerous for the immigration officials as it was for the foreigners being there, because it's like the front line. All these dirty foreigners coming to immigration every day,
right,
and some refusing to wear masks. So they were kind of telling me that, yeah, we're not angry with you, and we want you to do this. We're not asking you to stop doing this. And they send me pictures showing what they were doing to make it better. But they said to me, they're waiting for the Prime Minister to sign this amnesty order.
Oh,
and I think the catalyst was when my tweets of these pictures of the long queues, when it was translated and published in the Thai media, I think that was the catalyst, because 2-3 days later, the Prime Minister signed the order for the amnesties to start.
Right.
So I don't know if I actually did that, but it was like kind of one of, I was an influencer in some ways,
right.
But it was influence in a good way because it's for the.
But immigration never asked you to take down your original photo. It wasn't like censorship per se.
No, I mean, I've had phone calls like that before, and like TAT as well. I've had like 3 phone calls from TAT.
Where they ask you to take something down?
Delete tweets, yeah. And I said, no, I can't, because it's out there. And if I start deleting stuff, then people won't trust me, and I'll lose all my integrity. And I had a long conversation, and in the end, they
So that's only happened a few times?
3 times for TAT, and I think once or twice for immigration. But it turned out all right in the end. But I said, for people to believe me, I have to post the good, the bad, and the ugly. Sure. If I'm just posting good stuff all the time, no one's going to believe. Yeah. So I have to show every side.
Now, of course, if they pointed out an inaccuracy, then you would correct that.
Yeah, precisely. And it's good that it has that avenue. And during COVID, there was a lot of misinformation being put out there. Mm-hmm. So this kind of, it was actually quite good, because I had people from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Immigration, other departments that were actually contacting me unofficially, like back channels. And they were saying things that they couldn't officially put out there, but they wanted me to put it out for them. And if I agreed with it, and they said, this information needs to get out there, it needs to be clarified, because what's been printed in the newspaper is not actually true.
So let's talk about this, because I don't use Twitter anymore. I moved off Twitter recently. Now I'm on Mastodon. We talked about this on our show. I've had enough of Elon. But you're still on there, and a lot of people are still on there. I know Mastodon is extremely tiny compared to Twitter. But when I was on Twitter, I followed you, and a lot of the stuff you tweeted about, I wasn't particularly interested in. Richard's going to some province for 2 days. I'm going to mute him for 2 days. I don't want to hear about that. Which I think is what the proper response should be if someone's going to be, hey, I'm going to be tweeting about this for the next, like Kevin Smith, I also follow on Twitter, is a great filmmaker. Hey, I'm going to be live tweeting audience reactions to my new movie. Don't care. Mute. I can't believe the amount of vitriol and hate that you get from some people online, and we've joked about this before on the show. You could tweet like, hey, I'm eating Kamen Gai for breakfast today. What's your favorite Thai food? And people will be like, you piece of, you mother, you TAT shill. I can't believe, it's.
Well, you're eating too much too much meat, and you should have.
Right. Why don't you take your mask off, you patsy? It's just the amount of anger that you get is unbelievable.
Well, it does. It affects you. I mean, if you take everything personally, yeah. I mean, I was at one period of time like very in like deep depression, shall we say, and I just didn't feel like getting up in the morning. Or I can actually see how people are actually contemplating suicide, because you get people on social media bullying, and you get people who actually committed suicide because of that kind of thing. Sure. And I could actually see that. And I was like, I wouldn't say I was going to commit suicide, but I could actually see the problems other people had because of this kind of thing. And But the best
most
thing,
of those people are anonymous. This is one of the dark sides of social media. They're anonymous, so they act like complete monsters. Yeah. But I think in your case, part of the problem is you've gotten so popular that it's just kind of the law of large numbers.
Yeah.
So 10,000 people might see your tweet, and so there's likely going to be a handful of
and those people are always the most focal.
Sure, right, sure. Yeah. So I'm just looking at your Twitter profile right now. As of today, we're recording this in early February. You've got 203,300 followers on Twitter, which is significantly more than me.
But compared to like Thais, the Thai media, they would have like 500,000, 1 million or something like that. Mm. But it's still, that's the expat community plus Thais who speak English.
Right.
So it's a reasonably high number, but not fantastic.
I don't really have an endpoint with this argument. I just want to say that it's crazy how much abuse that you and many other people get too. But the only answer is, dude, unfollow. Mute.
Yeah. Right.
If you're so angry about what someone's doing.
I don't get this all the time. It's only during these moments of crisis, like the red shirt protest, the COVID thing, the mask thing. In between, I don't get any of this. Right. They ignore me, which is good. They're doing it because they want the attention themselves. So they're not. I tell myself that they're not going to do this to like some anonymous person on the street or a loser or something. They're not going to talk about a loser. They're only going to talk about the successful people in life.
Oh, right.
Because they want to attach themselves to that successful person.
Right.
So I kind of turn it around and say, oh, thank you for keep talking about me.
Right, paying some attention.
Because really, at the end of the day, and this is how Twitter works, the more times you get replies or the more time your name is mentioned, your Twitter handle is mentioned, the Twitter then boosts it, so more people will see your tweet. And so I actually reply now and I say, well, thank you for keep posting. Thank you for keep thinking about me. It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be positive things because there's no such thing as bad news.
Press,
and I do actually remember the first time I became famous. It's not famous, but the first time I was elevated, shall we say, to a level I didn't belong to. And this is what I want to say is that every time they talk about me and they say, oh, that this person, they keep elevating me to a higher and higher level. And I don't belong at these high levels. I belong down here somewhere. But they keep talking about me and they make me more important than I actually am. I'm not that person, but they keep elevating me. And this started right back in 1999, 2000, when they were making the Beach movie with Leonardo DiCaprio. And there was environmentalists were campaigning against the film production company because on PP Island they actually moved one of the dunes and cleaned it up a bit to make it look good for the movie. And I was doing a website with my students about the Beach movie. We would like because it was all in the newspaper. There was no secret, but Leonardo DiCaprio was a big person, so we were translating and posting stuff from the newspaper about his daily schedule, where he was going to be. We even got the script, which we posted on the website, and we got pictures from various sources, and we were posting everything. So we actually became quite well known. This was like 1999. So because we became well known, the environmentalists kind of latched on to us and me personally. And for some reason, this woman, she did a 2-part editorial attacking me in the Nation newspaper. Really? I couldn't believe that when that happened. It's like, I'm nobody. I'm just a teacher at the school and my students, helping my students do this website. And I was just this nobody. Yeah. And she did a 2-part editorial. It's not editorial, but opinion piece. And it was 2 parts over 2 days. And it was literally attacking me.
For what?
They saw me as supporting the production crew who were damaging the beach. But we were just making a website about the making of the movie.
Right.
Basically for Leonardo fans.
Again, projecting biases onto you.
And it's like, they thought we were supporting them. So, but because she attacked me, which was I felt really bad at the time. What's she attacking me for? What have I done? But it turned out really good because I was like a nobody. And still am, but she kind of she elevated me to the new level, and that's where it started.
Your name got spread out.
So then Time Magazine, Asia Week Magazine, Newsweek, we were suddenly featured in all these.
Look at this great website these kids are doing. You know?
And it was literally that.
Yeah,
and it's been like that ever since. Every time someone talks, even it's talking bad stuff about me, it elevates me to another level, which I don't deserve.
I just got to think it's
I hate it. Well, I love it, but I hate it.
I've just got to think it's jealousy.
There's a lot of that.
If you agree with someone and they have a large audience and they're talking to them, great. If you disagree with someone and they have no audience, who cares?
Yeah.
If you disagree with someone and they have a large audience, that's when you go.
And that's why I have to keep thanking them, because they obviously see me as an important person.
Right. I was talking to someone recently, a listener of the show actually, and he said that he goes, I don't really like Richard Barrow. You know, he likes to make it all about himself. And I said, well, that's what social media is. It's here's me, here's my food, here's my life, here's what I think about this thing.
Follow or not follow.
Yeah, follow or not follow. The greatest bit about this is the Ricky Gervais joke about how he tweets about stuff and he's got 22 million followers or something like that. And it's one of the funniest jokes ever. And he says, so many people get angry at me. He's like, I don't know if you're following me. I don't care if you're following me. If you don't want to follow me, then unfollow me. He said, it's like going into a town square and seeing an ad for guitar lessons with taking the number and then calling the number and saying, I don't want guitar lessons. You know, it's a brilliant analogy.
Right. How dare you?
How dare you? So anyway, I think it's a shame that people get so mad about such stupid stuff.
But you have, at the end of the day, for me to survive and, you know, not go crazy or not get so depressed, you just have to accept it, and that's the way it is. People are not going to change.
It's really hard, though.
These people come and go. So all these trolls that were trolling me before, like what's his name, Stick Boy or something, they've gone.
Yeah,
sure. They moved on, and I've seen it many times, and I will always outlast them. And I don't care because they come and go.
Right.
They're just here for a short time.
Right.
A blimp in my timeline.
Right.
Kind of thing.
Right.
So I'm not going to get upset or make a big thing out of that. So I don't engage with them, and I don't get angry back with them. I don't swear at them, and I don't. I don't lower myself.
I do love some of your subtle sarcasm, though. You can still whip a zinger out there pretty good. So let's finish it up with moving into your train guide. So if people, there's still a lot of people out there who don't follow Twitter, but you've been really, really active lately on Twitter talking about Thailand's trains and putting together train guides and stuff. Have you always been a train nerd? Where did this suddenly come from? I don't remember it being such a big thing in the past.
Well, train, I mean, like I said at the beginning, I came to Thailand quite along most of the way by train. So I've always had the interest in train, but also I had the interest in travel. So I've done train trips in Thailand, but not that many. But now it was a kind of a combining the two interests, train travel and tourism. And I think with every time I go on these trips, I quite often fly, and I was flying everywhere, and people talk about carbon footprints, and I say, well, I every time I come back, I buy another plant for my house,
all right,
kind of thing to offset my carbon footprint. But it kind of got me thinking, is like, train travel, rail tourism is actually sustainable travel, and it's also eco-friendly. And when I say sustainable, it's not. It doesn't negatively impact communities. It kind of is with them, kind of thing, and train travel. You don't go down the main highways with concrete views like you do on a bus. You go through the countryside, and because it was there a long time before, because the railway is like 100 years old.
Right.
So some of the railway goes through a national park before it was a national park. So
sure.
There's two sides to rail tourism. It's actually the journey, which is actually really great quite often because of the view from the window, your interaction with the outside world. The window is like the views keep changing. And then there's the interaction with the local people, not just the people sitting opposite you, but there's also the food vendors that come on and off. So there's always something going on. And then the other side to rail tourism is the destinations where you actually go there and actually just explore that area, then get back on the train, go back home. So I came up with this idea, this train guide idea, I think like 3 years ago, and I just started, and then COVID hit, and then I had to shelve the whole thing. But then last year, then I just kind of rebooted it. So I bought the domain name thaitrainguide.com, and I got a Twitter and Facebook for the same name, Thai Train Guide. So basically, it was basically, my idea was to write guides that people can download for free. So it's like a PDF guide. And that brings me back to what we were saying before, is that people were saying to me, well, why don't you just charge like $2, $3, $4, $5? And I said, well, it's not my style, and it's not my motivation. I just want to share my love of trains and travel, and I just want to put it out there. So, but then after a while, I realized, okay, this actually cost me quite a bit of money, the train tickets, and if you stay at the place, I have to stay in a hotel and stuff like that. So luckily, I don't know if you know Want2Go, the online booking service. Sure. So they approached me and said, look, we would love to sponsor your guidebook. Are you interested? And I said, yeah, okay. And I said, no, as long as it's subtle kind of thing. And they asked me, oh, how much do you want? I said, I don't know.
I hate that question as a freelancer, yeah.
And it literally took me, I think it was like nearly 2 months. So they would send me like 5 emails, and I would send them back 1. And it went on for like 2 months. And I said, look, I can't do this. And I was almost like, I'm not going to go down this.
So the sponsorship, like maybe their name would have been on it, is what you
Yeah. So no. But in the end, I had some YouTuber friends, and they said, oh, because I was asking them, how much should I say? I have no idea. And I just don't like this kind of thing. And I got a lot of good advice. And so I sent back a sum of money for sponsorship for the guide. And they said yes straight away.
Damn it.
Yes, precisely. So basically, the guidebook on the front page, there's a green stripe at the bottom that says sponsored by Want2Go, and the back page is the advert. And that's basically it. And every time a new guidebook comes out, I will say sponsored by. Gotcha. I will post it on social media, sponsored by. So basically, that now gives me it's like a passive earning, money coming in, yeah. And so basically, that's my budget now for travel, for doing the train stuff. So that's actually quite nice. Sure. So even though I'm not getting a salary as such, it's actually helping me pay. And then that will allow me to do bigger and better trips. And at the end of the day, people will get something out of it because they can download these PDF.
But it's basically just covering costs. Or?
Yeah, it's covering the cost, yeah. So, but then a couple of weeks ago, the Tourism Authority of Thailand, they contacted me and they said, oh, we're really interested in your rail tourism project. It's like, can we maybe hook up and do something together? So I had a meeting with them last week. So we're kind of putting a plan together that I would do some trips that is about the destination. So you take the train like that. So that's basically last weekend. That was the first trip I did in cooperation with them. It was I went to Udon Thani by train, by a night sleeper, spent 2 days there. So basically, I think probably like once or twice a month, I would do a big trip with the help. The TAT will do the logistics for the trip. And then in between, I would do my own small one-day trips kind of thing. And because I need to ride the trains, visit these stations and stuff like that. Because to answer questions, you need to know the things inside out. Yeah, you have to go and visit all these places.
Right. Well, using some lingo from the Bangkok podcast, Thai trains, that's definitely a merit badge. It's not something that tourists often jump right into. I guess some of them do, but typically it's temples and beaches on the first trip.
In Thailand, it's not. There's no culture here for Thais for trains in Thailand.
Right.
But I think if the tourists are using it, they might catch the train down to like Suratani or something for jumping off point for the islands.
But the train system is so extensive and so old in many places, and it goes to so many cool like small towns and villages that it is something that I think to be a true Thai lover, to be a true lover of Thailand, you got to do the trains.
Yeah. But there's definitely there's lines that you can go down with some really fantastic views of. You go alongside a lake, and there's in Salakburi, there's actually a viaduct that goes over the lake kind of thing. And so it's kind of cool, some of the places. And there's a couple of months ago, I went to this railway station called Kundan. It's up in northern Thailand. That's actually a national park. So I think it's literally the only national park where you can actually walk from the train station into the national park.
Oh, cool.
What I did, I actually went out and bought a tent and a rucksack, which is like the first time I've been camping for like 30 years. So I I caught the sleeper train to Kundan station, and I hiked up to the top of the mountain, and I slept in the tent on top of the mountain. And it was pretty cool. And then I hiked down. So I spent 2 nights up there, and I hiked down. So basically, I'm doing guides like this, showing people what they can do by train.
So are you? Is there a new one every month? How are you going to?
I'm doing trips all the time, but the idea that I will release a Thai train guide every month. There will be a new guide, and then there will be like a collection of destination guides. For example, I'm working on one now. It would be the ancient cities of Bangkok, ancient cities of Thailand. You can visit by train. For example, you go to Ayutthaya and then Lopburi and then Sukhothai and then.
I love traveling by train, and it's. I mean, I think one of the reasons why the SRT, the State Railway of Thailand, is in so much debt is because it's so absurdly cheap.
That's right.
To travel by train.
That's right.
Thailand.
But the sleepers are not that necessarily cheap because they're like 900 baht, or if you go in first class, it's like 1,200. Yeah. But the basic third class is like subsidized by the government, so they have to do it cheap, like 15, 20 baht or something.
Right.
Even to go to like Samasakon is like 10 baht, and it's kind of crazy how cheap it is. So yeah, they're not making any money.
I got a merit badge years ago when I slept on the floor of a third class train from Nong Khai to Bangkok.
Oh wow, yeah, that is a merit badge.
It was pretty hardcore.
But yeah, I think there's different kinds of journeys, and yeah, that's not very attractive. So, for example, when I went to Udontani, yeah, you could do it in a day train, but it could be kind of boring and tiring. So I would suggest take the night train. You leave at 8 o'clock at night, and you arrive at 6 o'clock in the morning. Yeah. You're in a sleeper, so you slept the night.
Great deal.
And then I went Thursday night, so I had literally all day Friday, all day Saturday, and then Saturday night caught the sleeper train back. So it was 3 nights, 1 night in a hotel, 2 nights on the train, and 2 full days at the destination. So some of these things I would do would be like how to get to you take the train to the destination, and then the other things will be the actual route itself is actually very scenic and very beautiful. Particularly northern Thailand is you go up in the hills and there's tunnels and it's really and viaducts, and you're looking down in the valleys. It's really beautiful.
They're planning to build a new line out to Chiang Rai now. Is that right?
Yeah, they've started already. So that's going to go up to the border. But there's a lot of development going on. It's been kind of stagnant for a long time. The railway system as it stands now is probably the same as it was 100 years ago. And now they're suddenly building a lot of new things, which is kind of exciting. So by the time this is a really long project I'm doing now with the Thai train guide, but I think by the time it's really got to the size I want it to be, the rail system will be ready and it will be really popular.
Right.
So I'm getting in early, shall we say. So it's not actually a great time to be on the rails now because it's kind of, sometimes it's really bad and the trains are really late.
So they're kind of renovating and refurbing and improving
So
things.
they're doing like, for example, dual tracking. So it's double tracking. So basically, instead of having to wait for another train to come down, you can actually both go at the same time. So that's happening at the same time now.
This might seem like a silly question, but are you going to do it for the BTS, the subway, the SkyTrain?
Well, yeah, I mean, that would be the ultimate aim, but I'm one person and it's taking me along. There's hundreds and hundreds of stations in Thailand.
Jesus, Richard, get on it.
But yeah, there will be a guide to where to go along the BTS station, along the Red Line stations and the MRT. Yeah, I mean, yeah, for sure. But yeah, it's literally a never-ending thing.
I remember back in the day, 15, 16 years ago, I wrote a series of articles for Travelfish, for Stu and Travelfish, about what you could see at each stop along the Sukhumvit line. And it took a long time, man, like days of research to write up one station. So
that's the aim, that there would be a guide for not literally every station in Thailand, but there would be a guide for it. So my inspiration for doing this is the Bradshaw guide from the 19th, 20th century in the UK. It was a very popular train guide. And it was partly timetables, but it's also saying what to see at each of the stops. And it wasn't a lot of detail, but it's just saying you go to here, you can see this and see that. That was my inspiration, and that's what I'm planning to do here. There will be there'll be a guide that will have all the trains you can take and all the stations.
And it will actually be physically printed. It will exist as a physical thing.
I would love that to happen, but because things are changing so fast and quickly now, because they're building like new tunnels, which are going new routes. They're building a viaduct, which is a bypass around Lopburi. That's going to be a game changer. So the viaduct's like 10, 20 meters high, and it's like, I can't remember, like 20, 30 kilometers long. So this is an elevated viaduct. It goes around Lopburi. And then in in Salaburi, that they have another viaduct which goes like 50 meters high, and it goes across this valley, and there's going to be some really fantastic views.
Nice.
This is not the high-speed train. This is just for regular double tracking. So there's the things are going to be changing so quickly that the only way to do a guidebook at this moment in time is as a PDF. I just did a guidebook for Glunte Apiwat, which is the new terminal station. And
is that what they're calling it this month?
That's the official name, Gruntep Apiwat. It's going to change so often. They're making it up as they go along, the operating procedure. So basically, it came out last week, had like 4,000 downloads already. And this weekend coming, I will probably do another update, because if I did a book, I wouldn't be publishing another book for another year, but it's already out of date. And they're tweaking some of the timetables as well. So it has to be a PDF. But I would love for it to be a physical book at some point, particularly the tourist side of it, like the tourist destinations where you can go with the train. Yeah. That's my ultimate aim, I think.
Cool. And these are all free on the site.
Free, yeah, because that's the way I do things.
That's the way you were brought up.
That's the way I swing. It's just everything has to be for free. But I put, like I said, I put a buy me a coffee thing, and then you can imagine how many people actually criticized and attacked me for, how dare you put a button that says buy me a coffee? How dare you commercialize it?
It's amazing, man.
But now that you've put that buy me a coffee, I'm sure you're a millionaire by now.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. It's like, I posted it on social media, and then that night I got probably a dozen or so people buying me a coffee, and then it kind of, I think yesterday was one person, and it just kind of
full
dries
disclosure.
out.
Full disclosure on the podcast, he actually Richard Barrow drove up in a Ferrari when we met him.
Right.
A lot of people don't know that
we're
he's actually making millions.
Recording this from a private jet, just circling over Sawanaboom for no particular reason. I'll tell you what, TAT is not interested in sponsoring podcasts. Anyway.
That's right.
Richard, before we go, if you don't mind, I'd like to, we ask our $5 and above patrons to send in some questions for upcoming guests. So I got some questions from some of our listeners here.
All right.
First of all...
So you knew about this in advance. I only just said yes yesterday, wasn't it?
I sent out the email from the Ferrari.
He could tell. He could tell it was impending.
So Dan and Graham sent in a similar question. Does he sleep? How do you balance your day between school and social media? Do you have a secret to having the energy to travel so often, or is it a matter of just organizing at home and organizing for travel so that it isn't energy sapping?
You definitely have to you have to organize yourself. You have to have a plan, and you have to separate everything as well. But I think with what I do is that I have a digital office. So basically I can do it anywhere. So if I have a 5-minute downtime, even on the SkyTrain or wherever, I can just send some tweets out. And people were saying, oh, you're tweeting nonstop during the day. Aren't you teaching or something? Well, there's an app called Buffer app, and you can actually set the time, schedule the time for these tweets to go out.
Sure.
So it makes it look like you're tweeting live. But during moments of protest, obviously I can't do that. I have to turn that off and post live. But I do that sometimes, but I don't always. But yeah, you have to balance it, and I've been doing it for so long now, it becomes kind of easy. But I kind of like it in some ways, and it's hard, but at the same time, it gets me out of bed because people are expecting you to go places and do things and stuff like that. And if I wasn't on social media, I would have stayed at home this weekend. I wouldn't have gone to Udon Thani. Right. So it gets me out of bed. And sometimes I was like, oh, I don't want to go out today, and I want to stay in bed.
Right.
And if I feel that I might be going down that road, I tweet the night before saying, oh, tomorrow I'm going to go to so-and-so place. And then I have no choice. I have to get up.
I like it.
That's how I want to lose weight. I want to put a picture of myself online. I'm going to lose 20 pounds this year.
You've got no choice.
Everyone.
Pure pressure.
Our buddy Jet asks about your take on dual pricing.
Well, I think it's quite well known, but a lot of people kind of misunderstand as well my intention, because people get angry, and I got an angry a message yesterday. How dare you go to this place? It has 2 prices, and it's like my goal is the right to choose. So that's the first step. Basically, I want them to show us clearly in Arabic numbers, not hide it in Thai numbers, what the 2 prices are. That's the first step. So that's you can go to this dual price place if you want to. It's up to you. And I want people to see that, the Thai price is 10 baht, but the foreign price is 20 baht. Well, it's not much different. And as long as it's good, and I don't mind paying a bit extra. But sometimes it's 10 baht and then it's like 500 baht. And then when you go in there, there's nothing to see. Everything's in Thai language and there's nothing to see.
Sure. Why am I paying?
So basically, I want to set up a review site and give people the right to choose that these are the two prices and this is what you get for your money. And it's up to you at the end of the day whether you go in there. I'm not trying to do a boycott thing or anything like that. I've gone to dual price places before, but I may only go there one time just to see what it's like.
Yeah, exactly.
And I won't necessarily go again.
Yeah. We've talked about that a lot on the show. I'm firmly against it. There's the it's no big deal crowd, but at some point,
I'm against it.
You need to come down on some side.
No, but I stopped for the COVID years because it's like kicking someone when they're down. But now tourism's picking up again. I will reboot the website and the Twitter account and start.
This is Dual Price Thailand?
Yeah, Two Price Thailand. TwoPriceThailand.com.
The numeral 2, right?
Yeah, and then PriceThailand.com. So, but I have a Facebook group as well, and it has a lot of spammy stuff there as well. So I need help with moderators. So people keep saying, "Oh, why don't you do this and do that?" I said, "Look, I'm a one-man band, and I have many other projects I do. I mean, you're welcome to come and help me, kind of thing." But yeah, I am rebooting it, and I will continue with the campaign. I haven't been bought out. That's what someone said yesterday. You've been bought out.
TAT shill. Yeah. How dare you accept money for services?
Yeah.
What a jerk.
Well, actually, the TAT don't actually pay me. So that's the other thing. You go on these media trips for the TAT and people think they're actually paying you to go on the trip, but they're paying for the hotel and they're paying for the airline and they're paying for the tourist attraction. So because they're paying and you're not going to the tourist attraction for free, we have no obligation to say something nice because it's not someone's paying, you know. So there's a nice kind of environment there, and it's up to me. And they don't mind if I don't post about a place I went to and I didn't like it, or they don't mind if I post the two prices, which I quite often do.
Right.
So yeah, they don't physically pay you to go on these media trips, but press these PR people for hotels and that. They do, and I don't want to join those trips.
Yeah. I find a lot of these people who complain about this too are full of shit as well. Like if you got offered to go on a free trip, yeah, like who's going to say no? Of course.
That's right. Yeah, sure.
Andy asks, what do you think is the most underrated tourism experience in Thailand?
Well, I think the overrated one would be the beach and the national parks, maybe, because I spent a year in Australia before I came here, and they had some fantastic national parks there and some fantastic beaches. So when I came here, it was like, oh, it's not that impressive.
Yeah, right.
But I think, like I said, the thing I fell in love with was the people, the culture, the religion, and everything. And it's just the small town. What the TAT are promoting as the second tier destinations. It's just the small places where you don't get many
small
visitors. Yeah, and that's the local experience, and I think that's the way forward. And that's what the thing about trains will be, is that the train will take you to these small stations.
Right.
So that's what I need to find. Yes, I will go to the major stations, the major destinations where all the tourists go, because I need that in the guidebook because people want to go there. But at the same time, I will stop at these small stations because I think they're underrated, and I might find something really nice at some of these small stations. Yeah. At the same time, I might not find anything, just some soy dogs.
Avoid.
Yeah, precisely. But you never know until you explore, and that's the best thing, is to go out there and explore and get lost, because you never know what you'll find. Did that answer the question?
I believe it did. We got several people asking, why don't you have citizenship yet?
I think there's actually a lot of Thai people. When a few years ago, when I had problems with my visa extension, the extension of stay in Thailand, and I posted about the immigration weren't going to extend my stay here, and they said, "Oh, you have to extend your visa every year?"
Right.
I thought you actually, don't foreigners, they can live here as long as they like. You've been here for donkey's years, and they didn't really understand.
Thai people have no idea.
Yeah. So it's like, I would love to do it, and I wish I'd done it years ago, because many years ago it was actually a lot cheaper and a lot easier to apply for PR. But now it's becoming harder and harder, and I think at the end of the day, I basically don't earn enough money. In the main business category, I don't earn enough money. I'm not paying enough tax to get the PR now. So I would probably never, ever be in that category. There's other categories like sponsorship from a high-level government official. possibility I could go down that road, but I'm kind of nervous that I don't want to owe someone a favor. You know, in Thailand, if someone does you a favor, then you kind of obliged to. and it's like, if a high-level government official does me this favor, then I have to be a good boy, and kind of thing. So I'm not sure if I want to be in that category, and so maybe in the future. But at the moment, I can switch from if I, for example, I'm not working anymore at the school or something. I could just switch to a retirement visa and just do my blogging, which is a kind of a gray area in Thailand. They kind of allow digital nomads to exist. So,
do they still do that?
Yeah. So I mean, that's my backup plan, and I might do that kind of thing. But yeah, I mean, yes, if they want to grant me citizenship,
you'll take it.
But there can't be any strings attached.
Sure.
Right. Clinton asks, how often do you get stopped and recognized?
Well, that happens. I guess it's more and more like yesterday. I was at this tourist attraction in the middle of nowhere, and this Japanese lady came over and said, "Oh, you're Richard Barrow," and then wants to do a selfie and stuff. Yeah, that happens, but not as many times as, for example, if I was a YouTuber, because that would happen more often.
Right.
Because their face is in the living room all the time. They feel part
Your
of the
face
family.
is not as well known.
Yeah, so they would go up to that person and start talking like they're old friends.
Right.
So it's not quite the same. I remember after the red shirt protest in the first few years, it's like, are you Richard, the Richard Barrow kind of thing? Are you? They just didn't believe I was a real person or something, like that kind of thing. It was kind of weird. So it's happening more and more, and I'm quite happy if people want to come up and chat and take a selfie or something like that. I prefer they do that rather than like sneak a picture of me working or something, because it'd be nice if I can actually smile in the picture.
You never look awesome.
Yeah, precisely. So I rather they didn't sneak a picture and just come over and take a picture. That's fine. It's not a problem.
Yeah, cool. Matt says, do you find it hard to balance honesty about the shortcomings of Thai policies and systems while at the same time promoting all the good things about the country? We touched on this a bit earlier.
Not really, because it's always been my policy, and people kind of accept it now. When I say people, I mean people in government that accepted that I have to do the good, the bad, and the ugly, and then people will take me more seriously in integrity. So it's important. I'm always, the way I was brought up, to be polite, and I'm a guest in this country, and I won't go over the top. But at the same time, if there's a problem, I will point it out and try and make real change, like the two-price system or the problem with the visa extension during COVID and things like that. If there's a problem, I will point it out, even if it's causes problems for me. I will say it. I will be vocal, and I've been close to the line a few times and got into trouble. But
I think one of the problems is a lot of Thai officials want everyone who visits Thailand to have the perfect experience. And I think that everyone understands that no place is perfect, and nothing's going to get better unless you start talking about it and highlighting the places where it can improve. So, but
I think at the same time, it's important to not just focus on negative things, which a lot of foreigners do, but also say how good the place is. And people, if they follow me, they see that I'm saying a lot of positive things, and so even when I say negative things, some people don't see that, and they just say, you're just saying positive things all the time. Why don't you say negative? No, I do.
Yeah.
Go to hell.
Then when I say these negative things, these people come out and say, "Oh, you're always talking negative
you're
things.
Always whining.
Why don't you say some positive things?" And so you can never win, and that's like I never try now. You just do what I do.
And the final bit is from Gene. It's not actually a question. He said, "No questions. Just thanks for your service to the expat community."
Yeah, well, it's a pleasure, and it's like. It kind of makes me feel good that I can actually make a difference and help people and make their life easier, I guess. So I'm quite happy with that. So.
Right.
That's my reward.
I can honestly say over the years that Richard's tweets have been extremely helpful. Really, just kind of knowing what's going on, especially when it's like kind of breaking news. So I think you covered it with protests and then COVID. Those are the two main things. Or maybe the flooding too, where I kind of want to know what's really going on like right now.
Yeah.
It's been very helpful.
Well, I think even more so now with the traditional media, and they're talking about stuff that I posted about 3 or 4 days before.
That's right. That's absolutely right.
And you would think they would catch up with the new style media, but they're not. They're still talking about things that, this is old news, and we've actually refuted that. That's not actually true.
That's right.
Kind of thing. Yeah. So people are kind of turned off to the traditional media sometimes and look at social media. But at the same time, you have to be open to, like, they might not be correct or I might not be correct, and you should listen to more than one source and make your own mind up and decision of thing. So I'm never going to be 100% correct. I try my best, and if I don't know something, I will say that this is my opinion, and then people say, "How dare you give an opinion?" But I don't want to give. I have to be very careful when I tweet stuff to make sure it's not. I'm not making it sound like it's 100% correct, and that from my experience from doing this for a long time now, I say, look, from my opinion, and people want to hear my opinion, even though some people say, "How dare you?" I need to say it, and I say, look, from my experience, and this is the way it's going to turn out, and if we do this, if we do that, this will happen. And
well, Richard, 10 years in the making.
Yeah, it's been a long time. Yeah, you've been twisting my arm for such a long time now. It was hurting too much, so I had to start taking the medicine
gently and politely. I never got too overbearing, but anyway, thank you so much, man. It's a great pleasure.
It was a pleasure.
I've known you for a long time, and you've always been a really nice, decent guy who's just trying to get the word about Thailand out there. And thanks for doing that, and keep doing it. And thanks again for coming on the show.
Okay. Thanks, Richard.
Okay, pleasure.
Once again, man, just like I said last week, it was so good to meet this guy finally after all these years. I know you met him before and had hung out with him, but I'd never even met him. So to go down to Samut Prakan to actually meet him in his environs and learn about his life was just a blast. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, super friendly guy, and I have known him for a while. We used to go on some bike rides and hang out from time to time, but we both got a bit busy, so I haven't seen him in a few years. And it was really nice to catch up, and like we covered in this show, we talked about a little bit of the math. You get a big enough audience, and what percentage of it is going to be loud and abusive.
Sure.
So I don't think he's doing anything particularly egregious. I just think it's sort of a numbers game, right? You get that many people following you, and
there's enough trolls out there. Whether it's 1 out of 1,000 people, when you have a couple 100,000 followers, then you're going to have some trolls, no doubt. Yeah, and it can be real hard, man. Like if you put yourself out there, like I've got a blog, we do the podcast, sometimes we get comments that are not nice, and it hurts. It sucks. Yeah, it does. Yeah, for sure.
It upsets you, and it's not easy. So kudos to Richard for powering through and just ignoring those guys.
Heck yeah. The other thing I was fascinated by is just his explanation that most of the work he does, he does get some minor amounts of monetary compensation that don't really even compensate him for costs. But in general, like, this is a labor of love. He's really a citizen journalist. And I think I mentioned this last week, people just have a tough time of getting their head around it, even though there's a lot of people who do stuff not for money. Like I mentioned musicians, I think I mentioned last week, most musicians I know that, they're doing it for the love of playing music. And I think he just loves kind of his journalist role and like the role he's fell into in Thailand of being this one man TAT/CNN /BBC, and more power to him. That's what I say.
And yeah, actually, we got a comment on our Facebook page actually today, just after episode 1 aired, and I think it was done fairly tongue in cheek. But basically, he said, how much did you pay to get Barrow on the show?
That's right. I think that was,
I replied there are still people out there who just can't fathom the fact that people just do stuff without pay.
That's right. Like the mystery with him is that there's no mystery. Like that's the mystery.
Exactly.
How could there not be something else going on? But I don't think there's anything else going on.
Let me tell you, if you think podcasters are making fat stacks and can just throw it out to get the top guests, then you have a deep misunderstanding of how podcasts work.
That's right. No doubt about that.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, thanks, Richard. It was great to sit down. We really appreciate it. And if you don't follow Richard on Twitter, it's a great reason to sign up for Twitter or follow him. And he does some great stuff. If you don't like what he does, as with anything you don't like, turn it off, unfollow.
That's right.
Easy. Yeah.
But he gets a strong recommend from me for sure.
Totally. Yeah. 100%. So thanks, Richard. Hope to see you soon. All right. So one of the new segments we want to try in this season is something we called Would You Rather, where one of us picks two contrasting situations tied to Thailand to debate and choose which one we'd prefer. This week it is up to me. So Ed, I took inspiration from one of our patrons on Discord, guy by the name of Midgar, or girl, I'm not sure who guy or girl, but Midgar suggested this one. And this is fairly straightforward. Again, I'm not tricking you with any outrageous questions like you do with sports. But would you rather be served by a waiter or waitress in a restaurant from a Western culture or from Thai culture?
Well, we've touched on this before. I have to go Western, basically because of the professionalism and the training. The bottom line is the Thai personality is superior, just like their friendliness and their kind of genuine smile.
Yes.
I'm often in situations where Thai staff are just warm. You know, they're great to interact with, but as we've talked about before, there can be like professionalism problems, and I never blame the waiter or waitress themselves. It's lack of training, it's lack of organization, it's bad management, and things like that. So I do prefer just I think there's kind of a higher level of service that it might not be quite as warm or it might not be as genuine. It's, like I said, it's more professional, but in the end, I think I lean in that direction.
Yeah, I agree 100%. The attitude of Thai servers is much more friendly and much more helpful and much more willing to deal with, whatever craziness is going on. And as we said before, Thais are much more willing to go out of their way to at least try to help you.
Yes, that's right.
But at the end of the day, or as you say, the bottom line is, I don't go to a restaurant to make friends with the wait staff. I go there to eat. And
that's right.
I want I want exactly what I order quickly and done well.
Yeah.
And so I think in this case that training, that Western level of training, or sort of edges out the nice warmth that you
right.
get
And I've had experiences where you go to a let's say a 5-star hotel in Bangkok with Thai staff, and they're great. So it's not that they can't be trained; they just need training. And they're you go to a 5-star hotel and you end up getting great service from Thai staff. So they're definitely capable of doing it. And you might get the best of both worlds, I guess. But if you force me to pick and choose, I'm going to go Western, I think, on this one.
Yeah, it's funny. There used to be back in the days when I was working at Agoda, there used to be in the lobby of the office building, there used to be 2 coffee shops right next to each other. There was Starbucks and then a Thai coffee shop, like a Thai brand, and they both had coffee. One was better than the other, whatever your preference is. They were both okay, but the Starbucks experience was exponentially better.
Oh, really?
You go to
right.
It was way more expensive, but you go to the Thai one and the people, they were sitting on the floor behind the desk looking at their phone, or they'd get up and yell at someone, or they wouldn't understand you or something like that.
Yep.
And it was fine, and it was way cheaper, and they had good coffee. But you go to Starbucks,
that's right.
There was a process that was the same every single time you went. The language was the same. And it was clearly a well-run and drilled operation. So.
That's right. Now, if you're in the right mood, as long as you have the right attitude and you know what you're in for, then the Thai experience can be great. Like you just have to know. You just have to know what to expect, and in some ways, kind of lower your expectations for what's acceptable, as we've talked about before. And if you're not in a rush and you're in a good mood and you're feeling flexible, then then it can be great. Then the Thai customer service can be great. But you asked me to pick and choose, I'm going to go Western.
Yeah, I am too. Although it does leave a bad taste in your mouth one time. Should I give the money to like a Thai-run business, or should I give it to Howard Schultz sitting in his Starbucks aircraft carrier in Puget Sound or wherever it is?
Right. The solution is someone needs to train Thai staff better. That's the solution.
That would be a solution. I would be on board for that.
Cool. All right. A final thanks to our patrons who support the show. Patrons get a ton of cool perks and the warm, fuzzy feeling knowing that they're helping in our never-ending quest for cool content. Find out more by clicking support on our website. And connect with us online. We're Bangkok Podcast on social media, bangkokpodcast.com on the web, or simply bangkokpodcast@gmail.com. We love hearing from our listeners and always reply to our messages.
Yeah, baby. You can also listen to each episode on YouTube. You can send us a voicemail through our website that we'll feature on the show. I dumped Twitter, but you can now find me on Mastodon at BKKGreg at Home Social. So thank you for listening, everyone, and we'll see you back here next week.
For sure.